Hi, this is Doug Daugherty with Hamilton Flourishing, and we're so glad you chose to join us again today as we continue the road down interviewing people who are running for the very, very important job of running our schools in Hamilton County. The schools have 45,000 students. Their budget is, if you count the bonds that go out from them, is close to $500 million. They have over 6,000 employees. They're responsible for the education of all those children from K through 12. And they have challenges and galore and 45,000 opportunities. So, and the school board is where the buck stops. And today we're talking to Roddey Coe, who is a Republican running in District 10. So Roddey, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Doug, for this
Wonderful.
opportunity.
Now, Roddey, are you a native of Chattanooga? The area, you don't look like it with that shirt.
So I've lived in Chattanooga for 9 years now. We moved down here from Knoxville. I got a job contract down here. I was here for 6 months and said, I love this place, and
Well,
stuck
we're
around.
glad to have you. Do you have children in school?
I do. So I have a 19-year-old daughter who actually graduated from Ottawa High School last year, and I have a 15-year-old son who is currently a freshman at Ottawa High School.
Well, good luck with those teenagers.
Thank you. I'm going to need it.
We have 6 children, and when they were all teenagers, it was different. That's all I can say about it. It was different.
It's an interesting experience.
Yes, it is. It's not something that the books prepare you for.
Definitely not.
There's books on childbirth, and there's books on raising children, and well, not so much on teenagers. So we're glad that you're here. You're ready. So Roddey, tell us a little bit. Why are you qualified to serve on the Hamilton County School Board?
So when my daughter was younger, she had a speech impediment, and my son is autistic. With both of my kids, I was in the schools at a very early age. So now it's been over 16 years, working to ensure that they receive the education that they need to help them excel in both as children and as adults. And through my advocacy for them, I started advocating for other families locally, but also across the state. And I see the same issues. Kids don't get the supports they need. Teachers don't get the supports they need. Parents aren't listened to. And in some situations, parents and teachers are put into a position where they, I guess, battle each other. It almost feels like sometimes, and neither want that, neither need that. As we mentioned earlier, the books don't really prepare you for all of the challenges of children, and so it's my hope that we can bridge those divides. Because of my advocacy, I've had the opportunity. I was appointed by Governor Haslam and reappointed by Governor Lee to the Tennessee Council on Developmental Disabilities, as well as the Council on Autism Spectrum Disorders. I've served on the board of directors for multiple nonprofits, which gives me more experience into budgets and the challenges that come when there's just not enough. I've been a soccer coach for children, just to help build that team. And so I've just got a lot of experience that I think helps me prepare to expand my advocacy onto the school board as well.
You mentioned budgets, which we're going to talk about in just a second. Can you mention some of the nonprofits you've worked for or worked with?
So currently I sit on the board for Miss Wheelchair Tennessee. I was the vice president of Chattanooga Autism Center. I was also the vice president of Autism Society East Tennessee. So
So you have a real understanding of children who have disabilities of whatever
I,
kind.
I won't say I have an understanding because it seems like it changes every day and every one of our kids is different.
Yeah, that's true.
With or without the disability, every one of our kids are different.
They are
you know,
unique.
and every one of our kids has their own style of learning, which is something I think we've forgotten
Yeah,
into over
good
the
point.
years.
Good point. Well, looking at the whole big picture of the Hamilton County school systems, it's the fourth largest in the state. Uh, Lots of money, lots of people, lots of strings being pulled from all the way from the federal government to the state government, the county government to the teachers association, down at the granular level. You've got parents who are advocating for this and against this, and another group advocating against the very same thing. So it's a real war in a sense, if not just a series of battles, but there's a lot going on. But as you look at the big picture of the whole school system, what do you think of the challenges facing the whole school system?
Well, the first off, the biggest challenge is communication. We have to improve communication with our families from the schools. Um, and I don't mean the emails or the automated phone calls, but true conversation.
Hmm.
Uh, it is. I've been shocked. My son has an algebra teacher this year, and I love it. Once a week, I get an email that just says, "Hey, we're looking over this type of stuff," and it's like, wow, that helps me so much when it comes to ensuring that I'm supporting his algebra teacher to ensure that Ethan's getting the support he needs.
Hmm.
Um, and then on top of that, my son's teachers have my cell phone number. Obviously, they have my email. We text occasionally. We have phone calls occasionally. And I'm not saying that's needed for every student, but for the ones that might be having some difficulties or might not be understanding the material, that's a pretty useful tool um, to help the parents, help the teachers, and most of all, educate our students.
Right, right.
So that's the big one. And then next, obviously, money is always a big question. I think we need to look at reorganizing or restructuring how we're handling the budget. So much of it stays away from our schools and away from our students. I think we need to change that um, and just make sure more of it gets to the schools and to the students.
Right.
We talk about more bodies in the schools. Well, we have a lot of bodies on this large central office campus. Why, all of these people got into education to work with our students and to help our students. I have no doubt that every one of them want the best for our students and love our students. Um, so let's put them back near our students.
Hmm.
Uh, and so I'd really like to see that happen. I think it would help with a lot of the issues we're having, um, regarding bullying, regarding academic achievement.
Okay, good. It sounds like you're really focused on the core values of education, not so much on all the extra stuff.
Yeah, schools were started to teach our kids. So let's get to teaching our kids this some of these numbers. Again, I know our teachers are busting their butts with doing everything that's been placed on them, but let's return them to why they became teachers and return schools to why we built schools. Let's educate the kids.
Good answer. Now, just a little pivot. What are your priorities? You've got a school board is an interesting thing. You have not only the responsibility to you're elected from a district, so there's a kind of a responsibility at this level, but at the same time you're governing the whole district when you've got a majority on the new, it will be 11-member school board. So you got to be able to work with people if you want to do something. But when you focus on the schools that you will be responsible for, what would be your priorities?
So for, like you mentioned earlier, my first priority is returning education to our students. I've said throughout this, my priorities are students, parents, teachers. For students, we have to get them an education. For parents, we have to ensure their voices are heard. And for teachers, we have to ensure their voices are heard. The reason I can say that my kids have excelled is because I've been able, as a parent, to partner with their teachers.
Hmm.
It allows us to work together, not battle each other, so that we can do what's best for, in my case, Ethan, because Ethan is my priority for his education, just like your priority would be for your kids as well.
Well, now my grandkids. So
Well, now your grandkids, there you go. It was like yesterday, when I was out waving and holding signs at Collegedale City Hall, and one of my friends brought her 9-month-old baby out there, and it's what I'm doing here will impact her, and I want to ensure she gets that education, and I want to ensure my friends don't have the headache in trying to ensure she gets that education either.
great. All right. Thank you. Let's move on to the next question. And I need to preface this or with this comment that there's really three important priorities of a school board member. Number one is to hire and or fire the superintendent. He is the board of directors, is the person that you all look to provide the day-to-day governance of the schools and the leadership and all that goes with that. It's a big job. Number two priority is that you're all the ones who create the budget. In fact, the budget is the biggest management tool that you have. It's where you allocate, and the school board has line item corrections or introductions of budget items. So it's the biggest management tool you've got. Then the superintendent presents it to the county mayor, and the county mayor presents it to the county commission, and the county commission votes up or down. They can't do anything with it. They can just accept it or refuse it. If they refuse it, it comes back to you guys, and you'll have to work through it again. But you've only got, I think it's 2 budget sessions and a couple of, I think that's all you got, maybe 2 or 3, but there's not a lot for the school board. So you've got this huge organization, and the budget is your biggest tool. And the third thing that you look at is policy, and those kind of change with the winds depending on what's hot and what's not. Those policy issues can be developed internally, or they can come from the public. They might be concerned about what books are there. The school may be concerned about the graduation rate or vocational education, all kinds of things. And you guys have to sort through all that as to what's priority and what's not. But the budget, again, becomes the big management tool. So have you studied the budget, both the operational and the capital budgets? Are you familiar with them?
I have looked over them. I am not an accountant by any means, but yes, I have looked over them.
Good. Any takeaway from that?
Again, I think the biggest in looking at them, I think we have too much money sitting in the central office. We have too much money sitting on a campus where there's no kids. And that's my biggest takeaway from it is I'm not saying at this point that anybody, any positions eliminated, although there are some I do have questions about. But if those people want to receive taxpayer funds that are intended for educating our kids, let's get them near our kids.
Good point. And with that, so you guys, a couple of years ago, there was a advocacy for a $34 million tax increase on the property taxes in Hamilton County to go to public education. Came from the school board, presented by the county mayor, Mayor Coppinger at that time, and it got voted down by the county commission by a vote of 5-4. It was 9 people then. So it's a one big step. People generally don't like taxes, but money is one way to control the system. At least it puts limitations on what they can and can't do. Or it forces the system to manage what they do have better. But there's tons of money flowing to the school right now. The COVID relief money, and it's just an outsized, probably one-time, maybe two-time source of funding for the schools. So one of my concerns is that things are going to get funded under the stimulus money. In 2 or 3 years, you're going to have to be going back to the core budget to keep them going. But that being said, would you support a tax increase for Hamilton County Schools?
No, I've actually, when I was getting my signatures, I had the opportunity to speak with Chuck Fleischman regarding that. And as him and I were talking, it was, no, we have a lot of money coming into the schools, like you said. We must allocate that for education. We have gotten the school system into doing so much more than education. And while I do not want it to sound like I don't think these things are needed, but there are better places that are equipped with the knowledge and equipment necessary to do it better than the schools are. And we should leave it to them and leave schools to education.
Right. Yeah, I'm an advocate of applying the right tool to the problem. And
absolutely.
And I think one of the things that the school system could do more of is work with other nonprofits, especially nonprofits who already are engaged with parents and low-income families, and families with disabilities, and all kinds of things, poverty issues. And then on the high side, people who are working with children that are really smart and have a high IQ, and things like that. So there's all kinds of opportunities for partnerships and collaboration, which is the right tool for the right problem. And so I'm a big advocate of that. Well, Roddey, if people want to get in touch with you, they like what you're hearing, what you're saying, do you have any way that people can reach out? Do you have a website or a Facebook page or a phone number or email or anything?
Sure. So my phone number is 423-405-4011. My email address is roddey@electroddey.com, and that's Roddey is how you spell Roddey. My website is electroddey.com. I'm on Facebook under Roddey Michael Coe for my personal, or I also have my campaign page there. I'm happy to talk to anybody. When I first started getting involved with politics, I learned from Mike Carter, my old state representative, that the coffee shop is my favorite office. In fact, and you can't see it, but above those two pictures, there is a picture of Mike and I at Wired Coffee discussing a piece of legislation we worked on. So I'm happy to meet anybody at their home or at Wired. And,
I've enjoyed having coffee with you.
Yes, sir.
This has been great. Roddey, repeat your phone number one time, would you?
Phone number is 423-405-4011. And that comes right here to my cell phone.
All right, great. We've been talking to Roddey Coe, Republican candidate for District 10, a school board. Roddey, did we cover the schools in your district? What are they again?
So the schools in District 10 are Ottawa Elementary, Ottawa Middle, Ottawa High. You have Best T. Shepherd, and then Wolf Teaver.
Wolf Teaver, love the area. Okay, Roddey, yes. Thank you very much, and the best to you, and I hope all goes well with you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you.